Hi everyone! Oh my gosh, my sincere apologies. Tech was not on our side yet again, even though we're using a different platform this time. So I am just waiting for Charlie to arrive, and once I see Charlie here is viewing, then I'm gonna add Charlie into the live stream. Charlie, can you see the live right now on my page? No, it's okay. It's all good. There we are. Okay, so as soon as you say hello, just comment hello and I'll add you into the live. Hi everyone. Again, our sincere apologies. We are using a new platform and it should have worked seamlessly and it certainly did not. So we are just trying to get Charlie into the room here and we'll be good to go. And Charlie, if you don't, I think it actually might be better if you're on your phone viewing this. Yeah, just so that way I can add you in here. I'm talking to Charlie on another platform and we are gonna make this work. If everyone here has experienced any sort of tech difficulties in their lifetime, you can just let me know if you feel my pain right now. So we are going to be live very shortly. Hi Sophie, how are you? This entire live today is about Charlie's journey as an entrepreneur. She is a member in our Authority Accelerator program, and she is an incredible human being, first and foremost, but she also has overcome some serious money blocks and money issues. Oh, that's okay. I'm just gonna be you. There you go. She is going to be hopping on to talk about basically going from being completely afraid of selling anything to doubling her prices twice. And also she's going to talk about a massive career shift that she made that is honestly so inspiring. If you've ever thought about making a career shift, you got to listen to this story because Charlie had quite the job before this. So I'm going to bring Charlie on. Oh my gosh, it's not letting me. So Charlie, if you can request to join, I am going to just add you in here. Let me just add you in here. I think you can request to join now, Charlie, and then we can add you onto the live. Right now, it's not letting me add you, so I'm just going to stall for a moment until I can get you on. Let's see if this works here. There we go. I'm going to add you right now.
Oh gosh, have I do it?
We did it. Everyone.
And breathe. Let me get
You're a saint for putting up with me. I appreciate you so much. No. All right, now we can get this party started. Hi, Charlie. Yeah. How are you?
I am good. I'm actually gonna raise this up a little bit because I switched the way that I was doing this, but it still works.
There we go. We're good. We did it. Okay. So as I was just saying, so Charlie's story is really incredible. Charlie, we met in beginning of 2019, I guess. So we've known each other now for a couple of years. You first started with YouTube for Bosses, and then you enrolled in the Authority Accelerator. And the whole topic of today's conversation is, that innate fear of selling that I think a lot of people have. If you've ever experienced a fear of sales, put a fear in the comments right now. And also, if you've ever felt like you cannot charge what you feel you're truly worth in terms of your services, put a heck yes into the comments as well. So like I mentioned before, Charlie is a member of our Authority Accelerator program. Her journey is nothing short of amazing. And Charlie, I think we can start there. Do you want to just start with your background and kind of what brought you to today?
Yep. Well, first of all, thank you. I'm so excited to be here, just to share the journey because the struggle is real, and I'm happy to share it. So my journey, I'm from Chicago. I was a radio, TV, film major at Northwestern. So my journey has been creative, but it's also been intuitive. And so when I moved out to LA,
Charlie,
okay.
Can I stop for 1 second? Do you have headphones? We're just getting a little bit of feedback.
Okay. So let's
sorry, everyone. I figured, you know what, we've come this far, we might as well just make the audio even better. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're
Just
fine.
my headphones.
We had to shift on the fly,
Right.
so you're all good. It's all about test, fail, learn, grow, repeat, you know?
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Go for it.
Okay.
So much better. Okay, so your journey has been intuitive.
Yes. Okay, wait. I need to know. You know what the problem is? I've got to stop. My computer is like delayed and it's talking. Okay. All right. That's I'm like, why am I hearing myself twice too? Oh my gosh. It's still talking. Hold on.
No, that's fine. The anticipation's killing me and everyone else here, I'm sure. So
That's what it is. Okay.
okay. So go ahead.
I'm just closing everything. Yes. Okay. I'm still hearing it twice.
Oh, weird. I can't hear anything else.
Okay,
You
I'm just
sound
trying to
fine.
figure out. I'm just literally closing every window I have. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to keep talking and I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
push through. Okay, so anyway, I moved out to LA and it literally repeats what I'm saying into my ear.
It's weird because no one else can hear it. Everyone else is saying, if you all can hear us just fine, can you give us a yes in the comments? Do you have Zoom open by any chance?
You know what? Let me just shut down my computer.
Okay. If you have, are your headphones?
Okay,
like,
that maybe. Okay, now my computer shut down. Yay!
Okay, we did it.
Oh gosh, still talking to me. Okay, this is the weirdest thing ever.
Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Okay,
no,
like my computer is shut down.
No, but are you hooked up to your phone with your headphones?
Yes.
Okay. That's strange then. Do you have Facebook open in another app, perhaps?
Okay, hold on. I'm so
I know what you can do.
What?
You can no, you can't. Never mind. I had a solution, but it doesn't work.
This is really the strangest thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do my best because I'm having this dual life going on right now. So I'm gonna just focus on you
Maybe
and
just
focus
keep
on
one
the
headphone in.
Okay, let's try that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the weirdest thing. I talk and then it talks back to me with exactly what I just said.
Weird. Okay. You know what? Take the headphones out because I think we're fine audio-wise regardless. You know what? Take them out. Yeah, it's all good.
Because now it goes away. So I'm not sure what.
Yeah, now there you go. You're good. You're good.
Okay. Perfect. I'm so sorry.
Let's just, you know what? Let's just start from the beginning. Okay,
Yes.
Charlie, nice to see you here. How are you doing? All right, so let's start from the beginning of your journey and what brought you here.
Yes. So, again, excited to be here. I'm from Chicago, and so originally I was a radio, TV, film major, and my pathway is creative, but as I was saying, it's also intuitive. And as you will hear in my journey, faith is a big part of everything that I do, including ultimately what my business is. So I, came out to LA all by myself, 2 weeks after graduation, and I started in the entertainment industry, but then I decided that I needed more because the type of jobs that I was getting was not what I wanted. So I actually went to business school because I felt that if I got a business degree, I can always learn the business side of entertainment and I can always get everything else on the job. So that's the path I followed, and it was a creative, intuitive. I worked for studios. I directed 2 films. I wrote. I did all these amazing things, and ultimately ended up in development. So I was a creative exec for a long time. But in 2006, while I was on this journey, I was in a specific job that felt very toxic in terms of just what was going on. Everything, the decisions that were being made did not go, bode well for my spirit. And so I started doing what I called a faith walk. And I would just walk, no earbuds, just wanting to hear some words, wanting to hear clarity. And on one of those walks, I heard 4 words. And those words were, "My people are dying." which really kind of changed the course of my life, because I didn't know what I was supposed to do about it, but I, kept praying about it and just getting clarity. And then that's where the vision for Fit Through Faith was born, was really about that interconnection of faith, food, and fitness. And so that was the path that I began on then. And I did a program at my church that was like a 12-week program. I don't even remember if I charged anything. If anything, it was very, like $25 or, just something, because it was service. But it was very intense. It was in person, on ground. I had, thank goodness, my husband and my friends, came to support, just as volunteers to really run it. But it was really kind of based on, vision and getting it out as soon as I, could. So that happened then. And then I continued on the journey, had a child, I was already married. Had a child, and then stuff. I knew this was my call. I knew this was my passion. But then I got this amazing opportunity to work for a network in a senior exec position as a creative exec, and it was kind of like storytelling has always been my passion. In addition to even storytelling through health, which I still use storytelling on that side. So I took that job, and that job just engulfed me. Because it was like an 80-hour-a-week job, 7 days reading scripts, doing, giving notes, being all across the country, being on sets. So amazing job, but I got to a point after a second child and after really feeling depleted, and the passion and the call for whole body health, specifically for grown Black women of faith or even grown women of faith, was still there, and it was a contract negotiation time in 2015 to 16. I'd also turned 50. So it was kind of that, change is a coming time. And I remember calling my husband and saying, if I came home, would we be okay?
Right.
And he said, yeah, babe, let's do it.
Give it up for your husband.
Big for my so that was really, it was kind of a combination of things, just a feeling of knowing that there are someone else who can do my job at BT. Someone else can do that job, and maybe better than me.
You're just being very modest about this, and I just feel like it's worth iterating. So this isn't just any job. And if anybody can relate to this story of like being in a job where, it's something that you're passionate about, at the same time, there's something bigger, give me a yes in the comments below. But the job you left, just tell people what exactly that job was and who you were working for.
Yeah, so I was the senior vice president of original programming at BET Networks, at Black Entertainment Networks. So it was a big job.
No big deal.
Yeah. But it was a journey of going through that, of understanding but someone else can do that job, and candidly maybe someone else could even do that job better, because I did have 2 kids and a husband, and I was balancing everything. I was still doing everything in excellence, but I was depleting myself. I also knew that there was something that I was called to do uniquely that no one else was doing the way that I was going to do it. So the time was now. Everything kind of came together. And so I left my job and came home and immediately started building the business. It wasn't like, well, what am I supposed to do now? I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. I knew exactly why I came home. And that began the journey.
I mean, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for just, sharing the level that you were at, because it's one thing to leave a job where you're working in sort of an entry-level position. It's a whole other thing to leave a job. You've been there for 7 years. You're in upper management. I'm sure it was very secure and very safe. And it's a huge job. It's a huge opportunity. So I'm sure there was a lot of fear associated with that. And I know you had a lot of fear when you became an entrepreneur. So walk me through some of your biggest fears when you made that decision.
Sure. So, I mean, there's always fear of the unknown. When you have a corporate job, there's so much security. I mean, yes, you can get fired the next day, but with knowing that you have a contract, it's a very safe place to be. I mean, you have insurance, you've got a pension, all these things are going to come. You can plan. You can plan 6 months in advance, you know, so there's a lot of safety and security that comes with that. And so when you leave that net, there's no net. You know, I'm grateful that my husband had a job, but my husband didn't have a job that would support, you know, all that the lifestyle that we were living. And so it really came down to, you know, as a woman of faith, I'm really able to say fear is an emotion, but it's real.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, and
it is real.
You know, it's about turning your fear into faith, but it's still real, and owning that and acknowledging that is a part of the journey, and then but putting it into action. So what can I do? I can feel this, but I can do this, and if I keep doing this, this is going to go away. Because the faith comes by doing. You know, you hear, you do, you hear, you do, and the more that you see, the less fear there is, because you build confidence in doing it. So I think that for me, you know, and fear still comes. I mean, it's not, you don't like handle it and it's done. But I think in the moving forward, two things. Number one, I didn't have a choice. Because this has to work. You know, this is the choice that I've made. And so there is no going back. And I made that decision. I proclaimed that I'm not going back. And that's one of the things. You have to put your own feet to the fire, you know, kind of on that.
I always say that. I'm always like, there is no better motivation than not having a backup plan.
Yeah. Right. It's like, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think it's so real. And then going from a, you know, on a in-person thing to the digital space, that's a whole other thing, because it's the fear of like, I have no idea who these people are. I don't know, you know, and I'm a connection person. So I'm like, you know, social media, all of that was just like, I don't know, you know, it wasn't a place where I felt the security, because you're just in this new space feeling like I have no skills. You know, like I had skills.
I just have to pause you there, because I think that's so fascinating to me. And I've also felt that exact same way. And like you said, the fear never goes away. I just have new fears now. And they always say new level, new devil. Like, that is 100% true. There's always going to be fear to tackle. But the fact that you felt like you didn't have the skills, and I do understand, like, you built your online program and your online course around something completely unrelated to what you were doing. But at the same time, like, you brought so much to the table, and you had such incredible experience in your career that it's just, I always find that so interesting, because that conversation has come up with so many people that I've spoken to and so many of our clients. And I think we often don't give ourselves enough credit for being resilient and leveraging our entire life experience to make this work, because like you said, it has to work. And I also just wanted to say, you're getting so much love in the comments, by the way. Amanda said, I proclaim that I'm not going back. Like, we love that you said that. You know, Kayla from my team was like, this has to work. And it's so true. I think the thing that everybody needs to understand when you're starting any kind of a business, you really do have to trick your brain into like, I don't have another option. Even if you have a job you can go back to, because let's face it, you are very experienced. You could have gone back and gotten another job, but you kind of have to put yourself in a position where you're like, this is it. Yeah. This is the only thing I'm going to do, and this has to work. So I just wanted to say that, because I know there's people here who can relate to that, and to know that you felt that fear and you have so much experience is just really interesting. Yeah.
Awesome.
So sorry. I got distracted. So you said, you know, I don't have experience. You're super overwhelmed by the digital space. So how did you kind of navigate through that piece?
Well, it was a combination of things. I think, you know, grabbing at all these courses, like, and that's an overwhelming thing right there, is there are so many courses, and everyone has the magic bullet of how they're going to take you from $0 to $1 million in 3 months, right? And they have all the tools, and have this, and so, I mean, the first thing I did is I did some of these courses, you know, with differing results. You know, I always have to look at what's additive, but it ended up being, because I just left, I did have, you know, some money. You know, I left well, which was nice. And so I did invest in some courses, but again, that didn't get me where I needed it. It gave me some confidence, because it started me on the brand thing, like, who's my brand? You know, it's always the typical stuff. your brand, your niche, your message. So I must have brand mapped, for months on end, through various programs. But, and I have paperwork for days of all that I've written down about it. But so it was really kind of trial by error in the first version of the program, because the very first version of the program was just really, people on a phone. I would send out PowerPoints and I would kind of do the presentations live, but it was very rudimentary. There was nothing that lived on a platform. It was just, I would send emails like through an email, like there was no CRM. It was just a lot of work.
Oh, hello. Sorry, you cut out for one quick second there. Sorry, go ahead. You said it was just a lot of work.
Gosh, no.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I hear you.
You can hear me fine?
Yeah. So you said it was a lot of work. And so that was pre-Authority Accelerator. So let's talk about the Authority Accelerator and kind of what happened when you got into our program, because I'm not going to assume this, but I would guess that it did operate differently than what you had experienced in the past. You want to just talk through that and kind of why you think the Authority Accelerator was the thing that allowed you to push forward and actually create momentum, results, cash flow, etc.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm going to ask you again. I'm hearing double again. Are you hearing it?
Yeah, something changed with your audio. I don't know if you moved anything, but it was sounding perfect before.
Something is still playing. I'm trying to figure out if we're in two places. Because
You sound totally fine to me.
Now?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. You're freezing a little bit, but okay. I can hear you just fine.
Okay, I think we're good now. Yeah, I don't hear the double. So I think a couple things are different about Authority Accelerator. Number one, comprehensive. I think that a lot of programs are like, I'm the brand program, I am the program, I am the, so there's all these little pieces, or I am the business program. And so you have all these little pieces. I think what was, different as well as unique about Authority Accelerator is that it was in a box. I mean, from soup to nuts. And, and it's so funny because I've always known that YouTube is important. And so that's why I joined YouTube for Bosses, because I was like, oh, this is YouTube. And I had, watched a ton of your videos. So I felt safe to give you my money, which is important. To do YouTube for Bosses. And I, and that was like, oh my gosh. I mean, and that was overwhelming because of the overservice. And that was just a reminder of how important it is to overserve, not just to give you, the little bit, the taste. And so because I had experienced that, I knew that Authority Accelerator, I knew everything that you were saying, that that you had that no like trust factor with me. And it delivered everything that you said it was going to deliver. And it is everything soup to nuts. And I've told you, I still haven't really done YouTube in any important way, because I'm not going to do it until I can do it right. I'm not going to do it until I can carve the time and really follow the system that you've set out. But I've still had incredible success in what I've been doing, because it's not a YouTube program. It is a set your business up for success, and YouTube can be a tool in that. And so that's where it is so different, is because it can literally take you from zero to hero, but really from no knowledge to understanding who your business is, who your target client is, in a very specific way, how to build your program, all of the data sheets, the scripts, all of that is there. And so it literally takes the overwhelm out, and just focus in on just do the tasks. The same thing I said about fear. Don't focus on this, just do the tasks. And where the win is.
I love that so much. And just so everybody's clear here, and I know there's people who are hopping in, if you're enjoying this, please give it a like, share it out so more people can see it. Charlie's story is incredible. To catch you all up, Charlie went from a huge corporate career working at BET to deciding to leave her job and start her own business with faith-based fitness as the focus. And she joined our Authority Accelerator program after doing a few other programs. And you had just incredible results. And if you are interested in packaging your experience and creating your online course, I'm just going to drop the link to apply in the chat right now. It's about taking about 5 minutes to fill out the application. And that'll allow you to actually speak to someone on our team, which I know, Charlie, you did as well, which I'm sure was helpful. Yeah, and we can let you know, this is the best path forward for you, and help you really discover that. So I wanted to kind of ask, in terms of, it's one thing to know how to do something. So like we inside of the program, like you said, it's soup to nuts. It's a business in a box. You have everything you need to succeed, but it's a whole other thing to do it and actually tackle it. And I know you came into the program with a few fears around selling. So I want to talk about that because so many people experience that. So what were some of your biggest fears around selling?
Yeah, I hate selling. I mean, it's just one of my biggest organ rejects because I'm a service person. And so to ask someone else for anything has always been, it's just kind of the way that I'm built. But I would give you the shirt off my back if I could do something for you. But for whatever reason, that has just never been a part of my makeup. And so it being a solopreneur, like that's the worst thing. Because like, how are you going to feed your children without, having a comfort with that? And I think that, certainly all of the stuff that you shared about your journey with selling and some of the resources, when it got down to, it's not about selling, it's about solving. And if you don't give someone an opportunity to solve their problem, then that's on you. And so it was, I'm solving something, I'm not selling something. And, really getting that into my spirit and saying, and here's the thing, if it's not for you, I'm fine with that.
I just have to stop there for a second because that is so freaking important to understand. Like, you are not trying to sell to everybody, really, really not. And it's important to know who you do want to work with and also who you don't want to work with. I don't want to interrupt you. Were you going to say something else, but I
was also just going to talk about just the materials that are in Authority Accelerator in terms of, the sales script. And so it's also like, oh, it's a script. Like, that doesn't feel authentic. Like, it's what is that? But what, it's questions, right? It's questions that you, and you make them your own. And so I don't feel scripted. I actually feel like I am authentically having communication and helping unpack, a potential client's issues. And at the very least, they're going to leave that call in a more aware space, whether they work with me or not. My prayer before each one is that you are better when you get off this call with me. And that always happens. And so it's always a win. And, so sometimes there is a sales, and actually it's been high in terms of conversion. But it's because of the authenticity of the questions and my intention. And if someone says something like, this is not my time, I'm like, then that's fine. I am not, I rarely get into deeper things than that, because if it's not your time, then you're not going to be successful. And that's not good for either of us.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lose-lose.
Yeah.
I always say that curiosity leads to clients and cash flow, because you really do need to understand, like, is this person a fit for me? And am I going to be able to support you at this time in your journey and at this point in your life? And if you're not, that's okay. Because you know what you have done? You took the time to plant a seed. And oftentimes as you build out a program that scales and can run evergreen, a lot of your sales are going to come from people who you talked to 2 months ago or 6 months ago or a year ago. So I think hearing that piece of it is really important, because I know so many, and I'm sure people here, and P.S. we've crossed 100 people here. So I just wanted to say, woohoo. So if you're enjoying this and want to share it out, please do give it a like as well to show Charlie some love. I'm loving your story. Everybody else is loving your story as well. But I think the selling thing, for me, I can say, like, I definitely had my own journey with sales and selling, and I very much relate to you in terms of, like, I wanted to help everybody, and in doing that, I completely depleted myself.
Yep.
And once I got clear on who I did want to work with and also who wasn't my ideal client, my life got better. I became happier, and selling became really easy because I was so clear on who I could serve and help. So for you, when it came to kind of your stories around selling and your stories around money that you feel like maybe you inherently had been subconsciously holding on to, and I made a video about this on YouTube today, but those like money blocks, money stories that we all hold on to.
Yeah.
What do you think were a few of those for you?
Sure. I mean, there's always, you know, there's imposter syndrome, you know, which is always, you know, there in terms of, you know, there's so, especially in the health and fitness space, there's so, you know, it's so blooded. And feeling like there are people that know more than me, there are people that have been doing it longer than me, and they're charging, you know, and because they're so big, they can charge little prices. Right? Because they have 100,000 people doing the program. Yes, you can charge $47. Sure. So there's a bit of that. There's a bit of, you know, just as a woman of faith, that it is a service. You know, this is a service. This is a call. You know, my father, my grandfather, my great grandfather are all ministers. My ministry is totally different than theirs, but there is, you know, there's something about that service aspect. And, you know, when you are doing the Lord's work, you know, there always are honorariums, but in terms of, you know, really understanding this is also a business, and people pay for this, and people pay a lot of money for this because you are actually solving a big issue and a big problem, and it's really cheaper for them in the long run to do that. So it's really kind of breaking through those things, like what's the problem, and then this is the solution. And I think the huge thing was when you said, you know, for your pop, don't charge less than $500. And I was like,
you're like, it's talking to me.
Right? And I was like, but you don't understand. This is my inner voice. But you don't understand, Sunny. You know, there are 197 programs that are similar. There's all this stuff. And like, who am I to charge, you know, $497, you know, for my program? And ultimately, when it came down to making the calls and asking the questions, and nobody said that's too much money. I mean, it was because I was providing the service that they needed. You know, I was their answer to their problem. And so it was no big deal. And even when I doubled it, it was so, there certainly were some that said, this is not a good time for that price, but nobody said that was too much money.
Well, and I think, okay, here's where I want to focus on this, because just to give people some context, because we haven't even gotten to the numbers yet. But you actually doubled your prices twice, which like for me is such a proud moment, because I remember that first conversation you and I had, and you were just like, nope. Like, I will not charge that much. Right. I will not do it. Because, and in addition, I do want to touch on this, because if you are in the fitness space here and you're watching, I know that you'll probably relate to this as well. In the fitness space, I do think there's this mentality, because there's so many big influencers who create these like teeny tiny little apps or programs, and they're charging next to nothing.
Right.
And you mentioned this, and you said, you know, you have a big audience, you can do that. What I would also argue there is, when you have a big audience, it's very easy to sort of just throw a product out there. What we focus on in the Authority Accelerator, and what you're focused on with your program, and this is no shade to anybody, but we're focused on transformation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone here can relate to this, but whenever I've paid a very small amount for something, I'm generally not going to get the most out of it. That quote of like, those who pay attention is so true. Right. And maybe it's less clients, but it's more profit and it's more impact at the end of the day, because the people who are investing are really invested in the results. Yep. As opposed to, I buy a $19 ebook, probably not going to open it. So with that being said, for you, you have doubled your prices twice. And I want to start back before you entered the program, and what your sort of like business model looked like then, and how you were charging people, because I think it was all over the place at that point.
Yeah. No, I think, you know, before the program, I kind of was doing a little on ground, a little, you know, health coaching, a little of this, a little of that. You know, the big program was always Total Temple Transformation. And candidly, I ran it. And then the next year I did the same. I did the conventional, do a webinar and just keep sending emails until people sign up. And I did that. And the second year that I did it that way, nobody signed up. And so I was like, wow, okay, so let me shut down. And so I didn't run it, that next year. And then I think that was probably the year that I joined YouTube for Bosses and, kind of got back on the program. But there was a whole year where I didn't do that. So I ran some little programs, I did some on ground stuff, and I did some private client stuff. So it was kind of like a hodgepodge of things. But I think that the game changer was getting people on the phone. I mean, that was a game changer, and for so many reasons. Number one, conversion, important. Number two, I knew them. Like, I knew their stories. And so how much more effective am I for my clients if I know their story? And I can put them together, and I can, just as you do so beautifully. And that was a game changer for everyone, including myself.
Yeah. And I think that piece is important, because it's not just getting people on the phone, as we mentioned earlier, to be like, I'm going to close you, I'm going to sell you on this thing. It's getting people on the phone really, because for you as the business owner, and I talk about this all the time, because I do believe that's the best way to build your client base if you want to protect and harvest a very, very healthy community. Because when you don't take that step, anyone and everyone can enroll, and it diversifies and dilutes your results. And it can attract really bad clients. And one bad apple really does spoil the whole bunch when it comes to business. Right. And so when you started getting people on the phone and also increasing your prices, I'm curious, what happened in terms of the quality of your client?
Yeah. Well, night and day in terms of, I was able to, and it doesn't take long, the more that you do them on a call, when you know how long the call is going to go, or, what the potential is, because people out themselves, or they're really, because it's about readiness. It's not about, is this a good program for you, or is it a good fit sometime? It's like, are you ready now? And you can hear that. And so really hearing the passion, of the need of the transformation, and really knowing that they want to invest in themselves, right? So investing in the program is really investing in themselves, and that they're ready for that. And that, again, is just kind of that, like, ooh, yay, as a coach, because you're just like, I can really help you, and you want to kind of like, yes, I'm excited. You don't want to overdo it. But you love hearing those things from them, and you're just like, I got you.
Yes.
Go. And that made a difference for me as a coach, because I was even more excited, because I knew that I had the solve, for what.
Yes, I love that so much. And so let's talk about this. So you were kind of charging all over the map. What was the lowest you were charging
So the lowest, I think I probably had something for $19. I think the program, like I said, when I initially ran it, I don't even remember, it might have been like $47, but I think the cheapest I ran it for was, when I was running it, in a digital space, was $197. I think it was $197. Right. It might have been $297.
And I remember having that conversation with you and being like, oh my goodness, with what you're providing. Oh, sorry, I just have a question here I wanted to make sure I got to. With what you're providing and the outcome you're providing, and also the specificity of your niche. So for people who are just tuning in, Charlie is a member of our Authority Accelerator program, which is a program which we basically call business in a box. We take people from turning their experience into a highly scalable online program. And we take you from, uncovering your ideal client and your niche all the way up to scaling your program organically. And I think for you, the value of what you're providing is so much bigger than just, I'm going to teach you how to work out. It's so intrinsic, and it's a really big transformation you're providing. We always say people pay for transformation, they don't pay for information. And there's enough information out there. There's enough free fitness videos out there. There's enough free everything out there when it comes to health and fitness and every other niche. So you have to get people to pay for the results and the outcome and the transformation. So that's kind of how you shifted your mentality there. And the first time that you developed your program with the Authority Accelerator, what was the price point that you sold it at the first time?
The first time was $497. So I was like, you said $500. okay, Sunny, we're doing this. I'm just not going to think about it. I'm just going to do it.
And how many clients did you get at 497?
So that the first group, there were 9. So it was huge. And honestly, what was huge about it was that the weekend before it was going to close, I think I had 3 or 4, because I gave a few people who were friends like half price just to get, because I also, part of running it the first time is data. And so I wanted to get more data as well. And so I did, do a few deals to get people in. But the weekend before, I was like, oh gosh, I only have like 3 or 4 people. Should I just stop? And, again, little inkling, spiritually was just like, go out again. It's the weekend before. Just the worst case scenario is people are annoyed. but there's someone who still needs another nudge. And my weekend filled with sales calls, and I booked 5 more people that weekend. It was like a crazy, like 60 to 70% close rate for that weekend. But it was because, you have to offer. If you don't offer anything, then you can't solve it. And so that was me.
Well, and I think that's a really beautiful part of your journey. We talked about this at the very beginning. It really started with those 4 words, which were so powerful, and it coming to you on this faith walk and sort of really trying to tap into, like, what's my greater purpose here? What do I want to do? At the time you were working at BT, you had this job that so many people would want, and you're still like, I'm not fulfilled. I want to do something bigger than this. And you start on the journey, and I always say this, the post-its right in front of me, but you had to test, fail, learn, grow, repeat. And so we had a conversation when you joined the Authority Accelerator, and we pushed you out of your comfort zone, and you charged $497 the first time around. You get 9 clients. Was that the most clients you'd ever gotten in like that short of a time frame? And again, keep in mind, this is without YouTube. This is without like a big audience. Like, what size was your audience when you did that?
So I think my email list at that time was 800, like 600 to 800. But in terms of people that actually were like looking at the email, probably like 75 to, you know how it is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, and I had, like I did have probably about 700 people in my Facebook group. So, so there were, but again, those numbers don't mean anything in terms of, until you get down to who's actually engaged.
Who's actually engaged and who do you actually want to serve? I think that's the other thing too. And then, hold on a minute, Charlie, because she doesn't stop there. So then you just did another round of your program, and our philosophy when it comes to creating an online course is you got to get it out into the world real fast in order to know if it works, and like you said, to collect data and prove your prototype, prove your offer, prove that it works. And you mentioned this earlier, and again, this is no shade to anybody, so nobody take it that way, but you said you had taken all these other programs which focused on brand. And I always find that really interesting, because your brand really should evolve once you have proof of something that works. Right. And so when you did this initial sort of launch of your program, were you worried about your brand at all? Had you worked on your brand at all?
No, I mean, because I think what the beginnings of Authority Accelerator help you with is, is who your ICA is, who's your client, who, niching down the niche, you're like, it's not, you haven't niched down enough, really being clear on who you're serving. I think that, I knew that, the program is called Total Temple Transformation. I knew that faith, food, and fitness were what it was. And so, and the exercises that we go through in terms of setting up the modules and all of those things help define, what that looks like. So it didn't become I'm paralyzed because I don't have my brand. It was, again, just follow the steps that are leading you to clarifying your brand. And it does help to have a framework so you know what's not a part of it. So it's really more of being clear so that that it stays clear, right?
Absolutely.
So that,
Absolutely. And so, like I said, you didn't stop there. So you just recently did another push of your program because you wanted to collect more data, you wanted to get more client results in the door, so then you can turn it into an evergreen program and scale it, which is what we also help you do. And with that one, you went to $997. So just to put this in context, people, she's gone from $19 at the beginning of this and not being able to really generate clients to $997. And again, You're not doing YouTube. Really, you are doing YouTube, but you're not really doing
No,
YouTube.
I'm not really doing YouTube.
You're not really doing YouTube. You're not
Right.
really doing YouTube. You haven't really grown your audience. You haven't been focused on a brand. You've been focused on client results and transformation.
Yes.
So you go to $9.97 with your program, and keep in mind, this is a faith-based fitness program. It's very specific.
Yep.
And how many clients did you get in this last round?
So the last round, I ultimately had new paying clients, because it's evergreen. I had 12, and then we had, there's 20 in the whole program, because and people keep coming back.
That's so awesome. So $12,000 in like 30 days, I would assume.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's actually, I didn't even tell you, it's the second time I've done it, because I ran the first one last March, and then I ran it again in September, and then I ran it again, in March again. So it's now I'm starting to kind of feel that groove, and we're talking about evergreen, but I'm trying to find that for this space to keep the community, but the model's working, and people keep coming back,
which is amazing. And I mean, you're also creating incredible results for people. Like, that transformation is truly coming to life, and that those 4 words that came to your mind, like when you were on that faith walk and you didn't even know what the heck you were going to create a program on, do you feel like you're living it now? Do you feel like you've stepped into it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because now it's connected, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my journey has always been a faith walk, right? But knowing that, my people are dying, and this is actually a connection to that. Like, this is actually solving the issue. So if we focus on faith, food, and fitness, you live and you live abundantly. And so just holistically, from a, kind of living in purpose, that's the piece that you have. And that's what keeps me going, is that it is all connected.
I love that so much. I also don't know if you know this, but I do have a tattoo on my arm. It's 5S.
Nice.
And it's faith, finance, friends, fitness, and family. And I'm like, oh, I got 2 of your F's.
Yes.
And my pocket.
But I'm sure food is a part of your life. I know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, food's the honorary 6th F.
Yes.
But I mean, I am Italian too, so I do love.
Yes, I was gonna say.
I love food. But yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing about this is that you're not selling I'm going to teach you how to build a business program. You're not selling anything to do with money. You're selling something, and this is what we really do share with our clients. And it's so interesting because it's often the most obvious thing that you can create an online course about. It has to be aligned with who you are and your own story. And how much do you feel like this program that you've created, and there's people asking what the program is, but how much do you feel like the program is related to your own story? And also feel free to share kind of what the program is about.
Well, it is, in some ways it is my story, because the program is called Total Temple Transformation, and the 4 steps of it are, get to the root. You start with kind of getting to the root of your trauma, your journey, who you are, your big bold why. You've got to understand where you're starting, and I can certainly relate to, once I made the leap, why am I doing this, and the importance of that. And then the second one is renewing your mind. And that's the mind muck, especially when it comes to whole body health and being an entrepreneur, is real.
Yes.
That's stuff that keeps you from doing stuff. That's where the fear and the doubt, I call it FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, keep you stuck. And the same thing happens when you think about your whole body health, because of your life. Life stuff keeps you from making good choices. So really renewing your mind around spiritually who you are, your value, your worth. That's so important, so you know why you're doing it. And then restoring your health, because we all inherently are healthy beings. Like, we were born that way, we were created that way, but we put in all of this stuff. We put in bad fuel and all this gook that keeps us from moving, like the food that God created. Like, I always say, God eat it, if man made it, leave it. Because it's those foods that actually give us health and give us creativity and give us all the things that we want to do. And so, my health restoration was really more in the choices that I made early on in my life, and which has prevented, all those things, and have given me the energy to have that, 80-hour job, 80-hour, a day, and not implode. I mean, if it had not been for, for my health choices, I don't think I would have still be standing here right now. So And then the last one is run your race. And that's what I'm doing right now. So you need, you know, in the health and fitness space, you need to, you know, what are the perseverance tools? Because you will have setbacks. So how are you going to keep moving forward? What are those tools that keep you doing that? And it's the same thing, you know, on my journey is, you know, perseverance. I wake up and fight each day for my intention, right? It has to begin in the morning, and I run that race all day long. It's not always pretty. It's not always, you know, as successful as I want it to be, but it doesn't matter. Like in the same thing, like if you have a bad day, you ate the Oreo, you ate the whole package of Oreos. It happens. There are no cheat days. There's only choice days. You make a choice to do that, and then you make a choice to do something else the next day. And so when you have these tech disasters that I have as well,
Yes!
will not stop us, Sunny.
No, I think this is the funniest thing. So when we started this, if you have been watching the whole time, kudos to you for being here for this entire time. And if you're just joining us, you'll be able to catch the replay afterwards. But I think I was sitting here because we were both on Zoom, because we were supposed to be doing this on Zoom, and it worked flawlessly last time. And for whatever reason today, it was not cooperating. And I was like, okay, we need to pivot. We need to pivot. And I know for me, I'm really used to this at this point. I'm like, tech problems happen all the time. All this stuff happens all the time to me now. And it has, the whole time I've been an entrepreneur, and I don't have an IT department. Like, it's me over here doing this by myself. My whole team is like on Slack being like, yes, you got this, you're fine. But like, no one's here with me. And you're sitting there on Zoom with me, and I know you can feel my pain. And you're like, we've been through this together, and like, we're fine. And you know what? We will figure this out, because as you said earlier, we have to.
We have no choice. The number of oops emails I've sent to people, like you send it out to like 1,000 people, man. Oops. Oopsie, apologies.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I mean, just to recap, so much about your story I think will resonate with so many people. And if you did relate to Charlie's story, if you were inspired by Charlie's story, give me a yes in the comments below. If you're watching the replay, put replay in the comments below as well. So Charlie is a member of our Authority Accelerator program, and our Authority Accelerator program, we basically take your experience and your story, and we help you turn it into a highly scalable online course. And Charlie's course is faith-based fitness. That is the ethos of the transformation you help people achieve. And it was really born out of your own faith and your own life experience and your own story. And you went from undercharging, trying to appeal to everybody, charging $19 to charging $9.97 for your program, and you just got 12 people to enroll in a month. So I just want to say kudos to you, because the fact that you also had a huge corporate job and you were like, this isn't aligned with my story, my experience, my soul, and what I know I'm here to do as a bigger mission, is incredible. And it's not just any job. Again, I'm just going to repeat it. You were head of original programming.
Yeah, I was a senior vice president. There was a president.
Senior vice president of original programming at BET. That's big. So to walk away from that and to start your own thing is so phenomenal. And there's so many people here who are saying, like, I'm so scared to leave my job, and this has been so helpful for me to see. So I got to ask you as one final question. Also, there's a link pinned below to apply for the Authority Accelerator program. So it takes about 5 minutes to apply. And then you can speak to someone on our team to actually walk you through how we can make this a reality for you, and how you can, you know, be our next success story like Charlie. When you think about yourself as the version of yourself when you were so fearful around selling and knowing the value of what you're providing, to where you are today, and also like the version of you in that corporate job, how do you think you've changed because of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, it's going from like overwhelm and, you know, just murkiness to clarity. I think that, you know, that there's certain constants, you know, with kind of knowing this is what you're supposed to do, but how to do it. And feeling like, you know, climbing the mountain with a 25-pound weight or scaling it, like, because the mountain is still there, right? The mountain is not changing, but what I feel like the weight was lifted. So I was climbing with more confidence, much stronger. So I think that the big change is clarity, focus, just do the work, like the mashugana, all that stuff. the weight of, being a solopreneur and being, having 2 kids and a husband and doing all of this all at the same time, was to have that space to say, I know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing as a mother. And I did so many other things. Like, there's so many, like, there's no manual for so many things. There is a manual for this. And to really know that and not to feel fearful, to feel like I'm in the boat. Like, I'm not,
Yes.
I'm in the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in the boat. I'm in the lane.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the manual you're referring to is the Authority Accelerator.
Yes, that's what
Just
I mean. Yes, that's clear on the net. Yes.
So that was my last question I want to ask you is, for anybody here who's like, okay, I think I'm at a place where I want to take my experience, take my story, turn it into an online course. And they're in that place that you were in. Maybe they're in a job that they're okay with, but they don't love. And I'm definitely not saying you have to go balls to the wall and be like, I'm leaving my job today. It can be a slow transition as well. We have people in our program who are in full-time jobs and still make this work and are able to exit their full-time jobs. But if somebody's here watching right now and they're interested in the Authority Accelerator and they're interested in creating their highly scalable online course and they feel like they know nothing and they're overwhelmed, what would you say to them? And how would you encourage them?
Yeah. I would say run, don't walk. Because here's the reality. As I said, I had done a ton of programs. And so even on the call that I had for Authority Accelerator, I didn't immediately purchase because it's still another investment. And I had to go back and tell my husband that I wanted to do another program.
Well, I was going to ask you, how many programs had you done?
Huh?
How many programs had you done prior?
So there's been significant money, and all for with the saying, because it's going to explode my business, it's going to and each time it was supported, but this was like the final straw. So I needed to believe in what it was, and have confidence that this was going to be the last program that I would need to do, and from the conversations, from what I already knew about Sunny, from YouTube for Bosses, to see, I know what this looks like. I know what the possibilities are, and it's going to be so much better than that. It's going to be so much more than that. So that was it, and the fact that it's a lifetime program. So it's like you just don't lose, right? Because even if life happens, like COVID happened, right? Stuff happened, but Authority Accelerator didn't go away. There was no ticking clock. So it's on you. And I was like, I want that. I want it to be on me. I want to take charge and say, you have no one else to look at but yourself for your success. So you put in what you say you want and what you're going to get out of it. And that's what you're going to get out of it, because it has everything that you need to do that.
I love that so much. Thank you. We have a few little questions. Are you okay to stick around for a few little questions?
Sure.
Okay, so one is, what fears have been eliminated from the first time you looked at Authority Accelerator? So like, what fears did you have before you enrolled versus now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the first big one is selling. I'm not fearful of it. As a matter of fact, I look forward to the calls.
Woo! That's a huge win.
Because it's a chance to solve someone's problem. Like, how awesome is that?
Yeah, I love that so much. Let's see. So brave. You're getting all the love. Appreciate your authenticity. Let's see. I know there's like a ton. I'm trying to get through all these comments in here. It's amazing. I know that I saw a comment earlier just about that fear of leaving your job. Like, how did you work through that, move past it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's huge too. And again, as you said, it's not suggesting that you just leave your job, because I mean, I felt like I didn't have a choice, not because of anything, but what was speaking inside of me. And so that was the choice that I made. The fear we talked about, is, kind of leaping with no net. But the piece was the belief in the call that I had, having some support with a husband, and, so that certainly helped. But I overcame the fear because I knew now was the time. I knew that that's what Spirit was telling me to do. And so it was now.
Love it. 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap up. Karina asked, what is your YouTube channel called, Dear Charlie? And I know you're not really using YouTube, but if you feel like
the company is Fit Through Faith. It's THRU. And, you know, as we said, I just put like live videos on every Monday, live fitness videos, just to have something on there. Yeah. And even that, I went from 0 to like, I think I'm almost up to 200, and I'm not even doing anything.
Right.
I'm just posting the videos. I'm not using all of your amazing strategies.
Love it. And then the last question is from Shelly Thompson, who I know. Shelly. Hi, Shelly. Shelly has 1 foot in. She's almost in the Authority Accelerator. She's about to take the leap. So Charlie, she said simplicity on a scale of 1 to 10 of the program.
Oh, I would say, I mean, I'm going to say a 10, because it literally, but this is my caveat on the 10. It's simple, but you have to do the work, you know, so.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know my entire team right now is watching this going, yes, Charlie.
It's clear, it's simple, it's just ... but it's work, and you have to do the work.
Yes, you have to do the work. And one thing I will say, here's the thing, building a business, the process of it is actually extremely simple, but it takes hard work. Like it takes effort. And Kayla, who's on my team, she mentioned a quote yesterday. She said, your expectations should never exceed your efforts. So don't expect what the big, bold promises of so many things out there. You're going to make $1 million overnight, and not think you have to put in effort and time. You know, you're building a legacy, and that's truly what you're building, Charlie. And that's why I wanted to tell your story, because it's bigger than you. It's bigger than the income. It's bigger than the audience. It's about the impact you're creating. And that's my mission. My whole purpose of creating the Authority Accelerator is to, I had a vision very similar to you, but 5 years ago. And I remember saying to a friend, I said, I want to create something that elevates experts onto a bigger stage and allows them to create success ripples in the world. I have no freaking clue what that's going to look like. That's what I want to do. And you are that for me. And I'm so grateful that you do the work, and you've done the work, and that you have created something that truly is going to outlast you and build this legacy business like we always talk about. So thank you for that. I'm so grateful to you for your time and for putting up with the craziness.
So used to it.
So used to it. And you know what? We were going to do it because we have to. So we gave ourselves no other choice, just like you did when you left your job. We're like, there's no other choice. We are doing this. I'm so grateful for you. You're amazing. Keep doing your thing. You're in the program for life, so I will continue to stalk your success. And yeah, have a wonderful day. If you want to apply for the Authority Accelerator, there is the link pinned below to apply. Be sure to apply, join Charlie and myself in there. And I'm just so excited to welcome more people into the family and the club, and help other people build their legacy with their online business. So thanks, Charlie. You're the best. Bye.